BBC Two. On BBC One, it's time to join our colleagues for the news where you are. Good night.
Thanks, Sophie. Good evening and welcome to Look North. Tonight, a Yorkshire serial killer appeals against his conviction. Thanks for joining us. A nurse who was found guilty of the murder of 4 women at hospitals in Leeds appeared at the Court of Appeal today. In 2008, Colin Norris was jailed for life. A jury found that he'd injected lethal doses of insulin into elderly patients. Well, today, his lawyers argued that his conviction was unsafe. Beth Parsons has the story.
Colin Norris worked as a nurse here at Leeds General Infirmary and St James's Hospital. He was found guilty of murdering Doris Ludlam, Bridget Bourke, Irene Crooks and Ethel Hall, injecting them with a deadly amount of insulin in 2002. A 5th woman, Vera Wilby, also became seriously ill. At the time of conviction, there was no physical evidence, no DNA, no fingerprints, but prosecutors built a circumstantial case, and 6 years after the 4 women died, he was sentenced to a minimum of 30 years in prison.
We're putting it to you that you've murdered those women by injecting them with insulin.
I know, you've already said. Well, I'm not going to admit to anything that I've not done, and I never murdered anybody, didn't inject anybody with anything. And I don't think your facts are good enough, I'm sorry.
They all got something called hypoglycemia, a condition that's rare in non-diabetic people, and something that made a jury conclude it couldn't have been natural. But today, at the Court of Appeal in London, with Colin Norris, now known as Colin Campbell, on a video link, his lawyers argued that the women could have died from natural causes. The Criminal Cases Review Commission has said that new scientific evidence has come to light, suggesting spontaneous hypoglycemia is more common than the jury were led to believe. Something they say has created a real possibility that his conviction is what they call unsafe. A BBC documentary also found similar cases of hypoglycemia in the Leeds hospitals when Norris was not on duty. Prosecutors, however, continue to say his conviction was correct. Another hearing is due to take place in July, but for Colin Norris, who at the time was dubbed the Angel of Death, he remains a convicted killer in prison. Beth Parsons, BBC Look North.
In other news tonight, police in South Yorkshire searching for a missing 63-year-old woman from Doncaster say they found a body. Pam Johnson, who went by the name of Shirley, was last seen on the 14th of March at a property in Winchester Avenue. Her family described her as a much-loved wife and mum. Police say her death is not being treated as suspicious. A woman from North Yorkshire is raising awareness of a rare medical condition that drastically changed her life. During an emergency C-section, Leanne Fraser from Moulton became very ill. A few weeks later, she was diagnosed with functional neurological disorder, or FND. It left her in constant pain, having seizures and unable to speak. Leanne wants to share her story to help others.
It was excruciatingly painful, and then I couldn't talk. All of a sudden, I'd just lost my speech completely. And I remember the doctors and nurses asking me, Leanne, are you saying that you can understand what we're saying, but you can't respond? And I just had to nod. No words were coming out. And that was the first sign that something wasn't quite right.
Now, West Yorkshire's first ethnic minority female High Sheriff has been sworn in. Professor Adiba Malik from Bradford says it's an enormous honour. Her duties will include attending royal visits in the county over the next year. 4 new special educational schools are one step closer to opening in Yorkshire. It comes as the government announced nearly £75 million of funding across Yorkshire to create more school places for children with learning difficulties and disabilities. Well, the new schools are expected to open in Barnsley, Calderdale, Kirklees and Sheffield. The radio commentary of the incredible moment that Kevin Sinfield and Rob Burrow crossed the finish line of the Leeds Marathon has been nominated for an award.
Could there be a better show of friendship and of solidarity and of love?
This BBC Radio Leeds coverage of the former Leeds Rhinos teammates is in the running for the Radio Times Moment of the Year in the ARIA Awards. The awards recognise outstanding audio and radio shows and the teams behind them. And a member of staff at Warwick Castle is set to retire to the Yorkshire Dales after 3 decades of entertaining guests. Ernie is an African Varroa eagle owl and has a wingspan of 165 centimetres. He's going to be performing his last flight at the castle during the Easter holidays. Let's take a look at the weather now. Here's Paul.
Thanks so much. Good evening. Well, it stays unsettled over the next few days. That said, tomorrow there will be some sunshine in between a scattering of showers, but Thursday looks very unsettled, often windy, showers, even some longer outbreaks of rain. And it's turning quite wet out there. We've got rain moving up from the south overnight, but it will be largely clear by dawn. We'll see overnight lowest temperatures down to 5 Celsius, that's 41 Fahrenheit. So tomorrow morning's not looking too bad. There could be 1 or 2 showers, otherwise it's mostly dry and bright with some sunshine. But the afternoon, a cloudier affair as some showery outbreaks of rain move up from the south, moving through fairly quickly. Hopefully a bit of sunshine to end the day with. We'll see top temperatures around 11 Celsius, that's 52 Fahrenheit. Very unsettled Thursday, sunshine and showers on Good Friday, but the hint of something a bit better over the weekend before rain returns early next week. That's the forecast.
Thanks, Paul. That's all from the Late Team. Thanks for watching. Good night.
This is where the wave of ambition